Shannon Townsend.
And I'm Richard Townsend.
You are tuned into the Married Marks podcast, where we talk about the ins, the outs, the ups, the downs, a lot of the shit no one wants to talk about. The greatest, occasionally also the worst of professional graps news from around the globe. If this is your first time tuning in, thank you so much. We really do appreciate that you're here, and we hope that you stick around for a whole lot more. But hey, if it's not your first rodeo, you know how this goes. We love you extra, extra hard. Whether it's your first time or your 168th, do us a favor, like, subscribe, leave a comment on whatever site or app that you are tuned in on today. It would help elevate our profile. It does us a solid, and we would be most appreciative. We are part of the Inside Voice, Outside Joke. Oop. Nope, that's backwards. I don't know whether I'm coming or going. Inside Joke, Outside Voice Podcast Network. You can learn more about them at igov.net. Check out our hashtag Modern Family. Shout out to Genius Pie for the Married Marks Podcast theme song. You can find them on Twitter at Genius Pie. Go tweet at them for all of your wonderful, funny bone, tickling musical needs. And hey, we would really love to hear from you. Are you alive out there? If nothing else, just check in so that we know that you're flipping okay. You can find us on the internet. We're on Twitter at Married Marks, or you can drop us an email, marriedmarkspod, that's B-O-D, at gmail.com. Guys, you know how this goes. Use your fucking words. Hi, how are you?
I'm quarantined. I have a cat trying to climb into my lap right now. He will not leave things alone.
He's being really annoying.
He is.
He's so obnoxious. So, first things first, guys. For those of you that are regular, longtime listeners, or even if you've just joined us recently, we did decide as of last week to move to an every other week schedule. I know that we've had conversations about it on the cast, about trying to do something weekly, but right now with the state of everything, and primarily also I take full ownership of this, a lot of it is for my mental health. We feel like doing an every other week podcast right now is really the better way to go. I don't have a whole lot else to say about it other than we'd rather like make sure that we have time to prepare and talk about stuff and give ourselves the leeway to like do the things that we need to do. And, to kind of handle things in this crazy, weird, flippin' time that we're living in too. So.
And oh boy, is it crazy and fucking weird this week.
It is. Oh man, do we have so much shit. We were going to record this on Wednesday night because we had Wednesday night free. And sometimes we do that. Sometimes we'll record Wednesday. And we just decided this week, like, there was so much shit that hit the fan on Wednesday that we were like, we can't record today. Because the second we'd get into the studio, something bananas was going to go down.
And although the additional news did hit after we were going to record, it wasn't bananas, it was sad news.
Yeah,
and
we had there's just, okay, wait, I don't even know where to start this week. Y'all need to understand that today is going to be very WWE centric, which is not something that we typically do. And none of it is going to be favorable. So,
yeah, not a lot favorable.
I'm just going to warn you. So if you expect us to sit here and try to be like super positive about the WWE, this is not going to be your jam. Sora, my goodness, this cat is just, he's giving Screamin' Pete a run for his money. He's literally trying to like stick his entire head into Richard's pocket. This is the weirdest thing ever. Well, I don't know what was going on. Richard looked at me before we got on this podcast. I don't advocate for drinking heavily, but he did look at me before we got on this podcast and was like, do you want a drink? And I'm like, no, I have a LaCroix. And he's like, no, do you want a drink? And I'm like, yes. And he goes, do you want a drink? And he pulls out a small cup. Or do you want a drink? And he pulls out a very large cup. And I was like, yes. I have had over a third of it at this point.
I'm at half now.
I'm close. I'm not quite there, but I'm getting there.
You're getting about right where I'm at.
It's very delicious, I will say. But I needed this today.
We are having an adult beverage because there's
so much shit to talk about today.
This might keep some of the anger in check.
Okay. If it's okay, can I do like a compliment sandwich so that we start with something positive, and then we talk about the WWE, and then we end with something positive? Can I do the Oreo?
Okay, I'll start with something positive. I'm positive that I'm pissed off.
This is not how this works.
Okay.
I mean, nice try. You get a C+
You want to start with
for
Tanahashi?
effort. Yeah. I will start with Tana because Tana is precious. So those of you who do not follow New Japan Pro Wrestling, number one, what the fuck are you doing with your lives? Because it is the best promotion in the world, in my opinion. Has some very, very, very good boys. And one of these very, very, very good boys is Hiroshi Tanahashi. And Hiroshi Tanahashi is basically, I hesitate to call him the John Cena of Japan, but he kind of is. He kind of is. He's a household name. Everybody knows him. Everybody loves him. He's been in the business forever. His bicep is held together by duct tape and hope because he refuses to have fucking surgery, even though he's needed it for like 5 years. Tana is kind of a pinnacle and a pillar in the professional wrestling world. And he's a very, very, very good guy. And he, according to Dave Meltzer, made a comment, I believe this was yesterday or the day before, that he made a very impassioned speech and told the government, this was on April 15th, that he believes pro wrestling should be the last sport to return. And he gave a very impassioned speech as to why. Somebody has translated some of this. While events have been canceled, our wrestlers have been training diligently and maintaining their focus for an eventual return. Yes, not being able to wrestle does make a lot of us concerned for our livelihoods, but in the world of sports, be that baseball, soccer, or sumo, I feel that professional wrestling should be the anchor. I think it should be acceptable for professional wrestling to be the last sport to return to full activity. I want people to know that when professional wrestling is back, then and only then it means truly that the Japanese entertainment has properly recovered. This is a big deal, especially since, like, in the wake of everything going on, I feel like it's extra poignant because this is literally Tana, like the face of the company, one of the faces of the company, but like arguably the face of the company, coming forward and telling the Japanese government, no, New Japan should be, like, wrestling should be the last thing to come back. Let other sports come back first. Let the Japanese people heal. Let's get this under control. Minoru Suzuki also made a really awesome post today. You can find it. I retweeted it today. Our dear friend at Karen Nerds Out had translated some of Suzuki's video, which is absolutely adorable. And Suzuki just decided to give everybody a little pep talk for the world. And this is translated by Karen. I know we're all in a very difficult situation right now. We're in a time where we need to be patient. I sincerely believe there comes a time when everything is easy again and everything will be better. For now, let's work together and pray for that bright future. Also, let's take breaks from the heavy topics. Hey, everyone, let's do our best. So it's like, God damn it, Murder Grandpa is precious. Can we just acknowledge that, like, Minoru Suzuki, for as big of a badass as he is in the ring, that's a wholesome boy. That's a wholesome wrestle boy. And I love him very, very much. He also closed the statement with a phrase that he says all the time, which is Yokoko Damashi. Damashi. Sorry, Karen's probably, like, eye-rolling at me. But she had a hard time translating it because it was very difficult to translate into English. So thanks to Karen for her wonderful translations. If you want to kind of keep up on things in the Japanese wrestling world and have great little snippets translated, please go follow her at Karen Nerds Out on Twitter. She's also got an amazing blog and a whole bunch of other spaces. She's one of our favorite people on this side of the ring. So go check that out. But I don't know. I wanted to share Tana's perspective and then Suzuki's little, like, guys, it's okay. It just made me happy. Like, I've been really down this week, and those tweets made me feel so much better about life. It sounds so stupid, but it really did. Made me happy.
Yes.
So there's your bit of happiness and positivity. Let's rip the WWE into ash, shall we?
Oh boy.
Where do we want to start on this? Because, like,
well, there's a timeline to this week. There is a timeline, a very shitty, evil timeline.
And, like, by evil, we don't mean the wrestler who's kind of awesome.
So.
I love that in the span of, like, a year, I went from ripping on evil nonstop to, like, defending him to the end of time. Because he's a precious boy. What do we got, Townsend?
So we have to start over the weekend.
Okay.
Where the governor
of
Florida declared that wrestling was an essential service and therefore was exempt from the stay-at-home and work-from-home orders in the state of Florida.
Okay. I have opinions on what is an essential service and essential business. Because, like, I don't... Okay, wait. Let's just look at Business Insider here, okay? The differences between essential and non-essential businesses, as more than 30 states have imposed restrictions. Like, the exact definition of essential varies by location, but quote-unquote non-essential applies to most recreational businesses. Okay? They have a wonderful breakdown. So, like, essential businesses. Let's, if I may.
You may.
Okay. Supermarkets and grocery stores. Essential. Big box stores. Essential, because people need to be able to buy clothing and groceries and cleaning supplies, right? Convenience stores and discount stores, because also important. You can get food, you can get cleaning supplies, you can get essential things there. Garbage collection. Healthcare operations, daycare centers, hardware stores, gas stations and auto repair shops, banks, post offices, and let's see, farmers markets and food banks, veterinary clinics and pet stores, because we got to be able to take care and feed our food babies, right? Our fur babies. Food babies. I'm going to take care of one of those later. Businesses that provide necessities to shelters and economically disadvantaged people. Educational institutions for the purposes of facilitating distance learning. Agriculture and food processing, warehouse storage and distribution, transportation, including airlines, taxis, rideshare programs, and vehicle rentals, and businesses that allow essential businesses to operate. Where in the fuck does professional wrestling fall in that list?
Well, you see, it doesn't.
Yeah, thanks. That is exactly my point.
So here is the problem. On the same day that WWE was deemed an essential business, the American First Action Political Action Committee, which is a super PAC run by one Linda McMahon.
Also, like, that sounds like a really dope wrestling stable. Like
the America First Action?
Yeah. AFA.
So,
it does sound like a good stable.
The same day that Governor DeSantis declares WWE an essential service in the state of Florida, Linda McMahon's chaired PAC, Super PAC, donated $18.5 million in television advertisement spending in the Orlando and Tampa media markets for the re-election of Donald Trump and other Republican races. The exact same day.
Can I point something out? Like, if you're gonna do that shit, why same day? Why same day? Like, if you're gonna be shady, if you're gonna be a shady bitch, be a shady bitch on maybe a different day, Linda. Oh my fucking God.
So, that is the beginning of this timeline of super villainy of the McMahon family. Because that is also when Vince McMahon makes the decision they are no longer going to pre-record. They were originally going to pre-record Raw, NXT, and SmackDown until May.
Right.
They were going to have pre-recorded episodes done through the end of April into May, into Money in the Bank time. That all got scrapped. Any of the recording that had already been done was scrapped. And McMahon said, everybody has to be here. We are going to do our shows nearly live at the Performance Center without an audience. They flew in people. They made talent who don't live in the Orlando area fly in so they could be a part of the shows. Now, we will come back to that. Take note of that. Because Monday, the weekend is over. We have moved to Monday. Monday Night Raw is going to be filmed live. Monday, the XFL declares bankruptcy goes up for sale. So the XFL is for sale now. All of the employees have been let go from the XFL.
Is there, like, what's the going rate on a pile of shit? Like,
well, here's the thing. So with a filing for bankruptcy, there has to be disclosure.
Right.
We find out that the WWE, who is a separate entity, who was sworn up and down, will be a separate entity from the XFL. They will not have any ties together. We find out that the WWE owns 28% of the XFL.
Yeah, which is not what the public perception and presentation was, if I remember correctly.
Correct.
Yeah.
No, it was Vince McMahon swore up and down they would be completely separate entities and have no ties to each other.
I'm curious if that was ever addressed in one of the calls, like one of their public calls.
Oh, no. Vince McMahon said flat out when he was asked at a press conference, and he flat out said they would be completely separate entities. So, the XFL is gone. Didn't even last a full season this time around. And I will be fair.
To be fair.
I will be completely fair. They did things right this year.
They really did, and I think that the reason that they have failed is not really their fault.
I mean,
I'm defending something Vince put together. God help us all.
XFL
but, like, it's not their fault.
Could have survived the first season.
Yeah.
The ratings weren't where they wanted.
No.
They weren't going to get a major television deal. But there were good sales and ticket sales in certain markets.
Yeah.
So there probably would have been some adjustments. You know, the lesser used markets probably would have lost their teams, and the teams would have moved to markets that probably would have had a better turnout.
Yeah.
The XFL probably would have lasted at least 3 seasons.
Which I would have been fine with. Like,
yes.
I think that a lot of the stuff they did was done pretty well this time around. I've poo-pooed and I've laughed at it because it's not my cuppa. But that's purely me. Like, I'm not gonna tell somebody, like, yo, don't watch it. Honestly, like, the reason that they failed is the same reason that everything else is on hold. It's not their fault. It is because everything is just jacked right now. Nobody could have ever anticipated anything like COVID. And it's really done a number on the professional sports world. So I stand by you with that, and I completely agree. I don't think any of it was really their fault. I think had COVID not happened, they would have definitely had an okay year, and they probably would have had a better second year because they would have figured some stuff out.
So next we have the release of the new Dark Side of the Ring. The Assassination of Dino Bravo.
Oh, I haven't...
Which basically tells a tale of how Vince McMahon may have covered up a murder.
Whoa, wait, this is another Vice documentary?
Yes.
Interesting. We still have not watched the Benoit one, because I just haven't been able to bring myself to watch it. Because my heart just can't handle it right now.
I mean...
TLDR, Vince is at the center of a fuck ton of controversy right now.
Oh, yeah.
A fuck ton. Like, I would hesitate to say a metric fuck ton of controversy. The man is under a microscope. I have guys, I gotta tell you, I have really good friends that live in Orlando that have zero interest in wrestling. My friend Carrie lives there. Mm-hmm. Carrie's a photographer. She's a brilliant photographer. She has a company called The Dancer's Eye in Insomniac Studios. Go check them out, follow them, give her some support and love, because she's an absolutely gifted photographer. Even she was posting about this Vince McMahon shit and was literally going, what the actual fuck? And it's weird to me because it was one of those, like, my streams are crossing moments. And I'm like, what do I even say? Like, I'm not going to defend Vince McMahon in the WWE. I got nothing to say.
So let's move to Wednesday, which will now be known as Black Wednesday.
It was such a rough day. Like, yesterday made my heart hurt for the wrestling community.
So there was a 5-minute conference call between the chairman and CEO Vince McMahon and the company employees. 5 minutes is all this call was, where he announced that there would be cuts and furloughed employees decided soon.
Which we saw that information break about, what, 2 hours before we were thinking about recording? Because we were going to record early.
We were going to record early. No, it was... We saw this announcement before the announcement of the talents being released.
Yes. Okay, that's fair.
And we made a tweet saying that there was...
It was going to be a rough day.
It was going to be a rough day for wrestling. So they announced that they were going to be reducing executive and board member compensation, decreasing operating expenses, cutting talent expenses, third-party staffing and consulting, deferring spend on the build-out of the company's new headquarters for at least 6 months. So the new Titan Tower, the new corporate offices are being deferred for 6 months.
Yeah.
This was the announcement that was made. They were going to make employee reductions and compensation and headcount that would save the company $4 million.
It's a big chunk of change.
They also said that and now this was in a conference call a while back, had $500 million in available cash and debt capacity.
Okay.
So they had $500 million liquidity.
Sure.
Cash on hand. And they needed to reduce headcount to save $4 million. And boy, did they make some chops. So.
I mean, we're used to having those days of future endeavors. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah,
We've
absolutely.
had days where they've let like 3 or 4 people go at a time, or 5. This was crazy. Like, this was... I had friends sending me Snapchats all night that were like, yo, Shannon, what is fucking happening?
The wrestlers that were released. There were 5 NXT wrestlers released, and a bunch of main roster. So we had Lio Rush, Eric Young, which was a travesty because they never did right by EY.
No, they never did EY any justice.
Heath Slater, which is heartbreaking after his conversation about him becoming champion so 3MB could all have been champions. Because he had that conversation with Drew McIntyre.
I know.
Like, that video can't
Which
talk.
was so cute.
Zack Ryder. Kurt Hawkins. Drake Maverick, which I'm going to tell you, if you feel like crying, watch Drake Maverick's video goodbye.
Oh, it's so fucking heart-wrenching, guys.
It
like,
was.
If you've been depressed, please don't watch it. Because, like, oh, God. I couldn't take it. I was just bawling.
EC3, who they absolutely just shat on his entire time in WWE.
Yeah, he's fantastic. I stand by the fact that he's fantastic, and they just never really got him right. It's one of NXT's few failings.
Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson.
This is going to sound terrible. I'm okay with this one. Let them go somewhere where they're going to fucking have fun.
They went from being in the main event of WrestleMania to fired in a week.
Yeah. How insane is that? They're going to do just fine when this is all said and done. Like,
Sarah Logan.
That one broke my fucking heart a little bit. Not gonna lie.
Eric Rowan.
Who, by the way, they've, as of today, managed to put Ronda Rousey in their fucking legacy page, but they still can't fucking remove Eric Rowan from their active roster on WWE.com. Yes, I'm judging you. Continue.
Primo and Epico.
Heartbreaking, but I think they'll do just fine elsewhere, honestly. I'd like to see them maybe go to AEW. I think that'd be a good spot for them. Or Ring of Honor. Like, they do okay there.
Mike and Maria Kanellis.
Fuck. My heart hurts. Maria's goodbye message was sweet, but...
Maria is on maternity leave.
Yeah, that's why I was pissed. I was like, really, WWE? Oh, fucking K.
Not the first time they've let somebody go who was on maternity leave.
Yep.
No way, Jose.
Okay, fuck them for this one, because, like, I gotta tell you something, and I've seen multiple people say this today, and I completely and vehemently fucking agree with this. No Way Jose is one of the few people that if you ask casuals who go to wrestling shows, any casual fan who's been to WWE, any casual person who's not into wrestling but has been forced to fucking watch wrestling while their spouse or significant other is watching, do they remember Brock Lesnar? No. Did they remember fucking AJ Styles? No. They remember No Way Jose. You want to talk about a dude that was there for the casual fans and worked his fucking ass off? I fucking worship at the Church of No Way Jose. Nobody can convince me that he wasn't an important member of that roster. If you disagree with me, I'm going to pull a little Eugene Lee Yang. I'm right. You're wrong. Shut up.
NXT talent, why? Oh, and then the biggest name, Rusev. Rusev gets let go.
Sad.
Let go.
Sad Rusev Day. Saddest Rusev Day ever.
Then there were 5 NXT talents who were let go. Alexander Jaksic, Deonna Purrazzo.
That one's fucking criminal, but okay.
MJ Jenkins, Dan Matha, and Alyssa Marino. All let go.
Unfucking believable.
That's just the on-screen, on-air talent. Producers they let go. And there's some big names here. Kurt Angle.
Unbelievable.
Billy Kidman.
That one was a shocker to me.
Mike Rotunda. Pat Buck. Sean Daivari.
That one hurts.
Scott Armstrong. Sarah Stock.
Unbelievable.
Shane Helms. Lance Storm, who just got there.
I know.
And the biggest travesty of them all, Fit Finlay.
Yeah.
Who was the spokesperson, the man when it came to the women's division in WWE.
Yep, one of the biggest advocates in the company for it, is now gone. Although I do have to hand it to him, he's had a real sense of humor about it on Twitter. Somebody tweeted that every bar in Northern Ireland needs to be prepared, every pub in Northern Ireland needs to be prepared to give Fit Finlay a drink when he gets back home. And he's like, this guy knows what's going on. Hell yeah. So he at least has a sense of humor about it, but it's a travesty and a half. It's unbelievable.
Some NXT coaches were let go. Chris Guy, also known as Ace Steel, Kendo Cation, and Serena Deeb.
What?
Serena
I did not know
Deeb.
about this one. Are you fucking kidding me?
Serena Deeb
Are
was
you
let go.
fucking kidding me?
Nope.
Are you fucking kidding me?
Nope.
Okay, pardon me. I need a moment. Can I have one moment? Can I have a moment to be melodramatic?
Yep.
I need a moment to be melodramatic.
Okay.
What the fuck? I'm good now.
Okay.
Unbelievable. Okay.
Announcers.
Oh,
Aiden English.
They just put him there. Whoa.
And Jerry Soto.
Oh, okay.
Here comes some more stuff. Referee, Mike Chioda, who has been with the WWE since 1989.
Forever. Yeah, I was going to say he's been there since the 80s, right?
Yep, 1989.
Unbelievable.
Creative, Andrea Lissenberger. Now, Andrea was the lead creative for the Mandy Rose and Otis Dozovich story.
Which, love it or hate it, it's been getting a lot of attention.
Yeah. And then other on-air talent, Josiah Williams and John Casado.
Ugh, unbelievable. It's a lot of people, you guys. A lot of people.
So they let go a lot of people to save $4 million.
I always feel bad in this kind of shit because, I'm very open about the fact that, for a very long time, I worked for a company that may or may not rhyme with Fest Fry.
Who had their own bad day
Who
yesterday.
had their own real bad day yesterday.
50,000 employees let go.
You want to know the worst part? It was all store employees. It was all store employees.
Part-timers.
All store. Yeah. Corporate got spared.
Oh, no, they did not.
Really?
Not according to the article I read.
According to inside sources I have on corporate campus, most corporate employees were fine. This hit stores. This literally hit stores. I'm not gonna say my sources, but y'all, I worked there for 6.5 fucking years, and I don't think they're ever gonna hire me back, so I'll talk about it. I don't give a shit.
Yeah, most of it was store employees.
Yeah, it was mostly store, but I can tell you, I worked there during what we affectionately referred to as the Termination Tuesday period. Mm-hmm. When every Tuesday there were mass layoffs and national news was camped outside our building and shit.
Yeah.
So I try whenever, because I went through all that and I made it through every round of layoffs there, but I had a lot of friends that didn't. And I try to have a measure of neutrality when it comes to big corporate layoffs like that, because sometimes to save a company, that is what has to happen. When I was working for Best Buy, and I'm not defending what the WWE did by any stretch, but I will say when I worked for Best Buy, who I do love as a company, I miss the culture there tremendously. I really enjoyed working there. They were a great company to work for. I stand by that. But it was interesting to me because everybody was really judgmental of the company, but I hate to tell you all this, those time periods of them laying everything off is what ultimately saved the company.
Yes.
Like, after, right before the time I was gone. And so, like, it's hard for me to be super judgmental of, like, giant layoffs when it comes to financial stuff because, like, from a corporate perspective, yeah, there's always a lot of things at play. However, the WWE is clearly not on the up and up with a lot of their financials and a lot of their intentions here. So I'm a little more comfortable being slightly judgmental of these layoffs. Just my 2 cents.
So, and this isn't including any employees that were let go out of corporate.
Mm-hmm. Which we have to assume there were several.
$4 million when they had $500 million on hand. $4 million is what they paid Goldberg for 2 5-minute matches.
And that's why I'm judgmental. Because of facts like that. Unbelievable. And I'm not saying Goldberg's not worth some cash, but like...
I saw a lot of arguments online yesterday about people saying, well, Goldberg is a draw and Brock Lesnar is a draw. Yeah, when they're there. These were everyday employees.
These are people that were putting in the time every single day, that were out there schlepping their asses, that were doing the heavy lifting.
Doing the house show circuit.
Yeah, and like, I know that some of you are probably going to like judge me for that, for my perspective on that, because like we know how I feel about people, legacy individuals who just show up once a year, get paid millions of dollars, and then walk away. I'm not a fan of that. I'm sure there's people in the industry that vehemently fucking disagree with me.
Sure.
But it's shitty. It's just shitty.
Here's the one that hits me the most. Rusev gave $25,000 out of his own pocket.
Yeah.
To help support production employees and backstage people who were affected by this shutdown, to help them financially. $25,000 out of his own pocket.
It's a lot of money.
And he gets let go.
Yeah.
They made the Revival sit and not work, but get paid to keep them out of other companies' hands. And same with Brody, Luke Harper. They made him sit and not get paid. And yet they still had to cut talent to save money. There are employees who are still getting paid.
Yes.
Who are on contracts. Like Ronda Rousey. Like The Undertaker. Like Hulk fucking Hogan. And they had to fire
Unbelievable.
Zack Ryder. And they had to fire
who's like one of the
Rusev.
hardest workers in the fucking company.
So yes, I'm a little angry. I understand in this day and age, with the current climate, companies need to thin themselves out to survive through this pandemic because it's not going to end next week.
And it's hitting every kind of organization.
My day job
hard.
had layoffs this past week as well.
And that was a nerve-wracking couple of days for us because we weren't sure you were going to make it through it.
There are people who have lost their jobs, and I feel for them. And yes, WWE talent make a lot of money.
They do.
But a lot of these talent that got let go don't make a lot of money. They make the industry minimum. Now, mind you, that's more than minimum wage, and they still make more than we do in a year. And that's fine. But they're a part of a business where there is no place for them to go right now. There are no wrestling jobs open because the independents are not running. There are 2 wrestling, and 3, because Impact is doing tapings.
Mm-hmm.
And AEW is doing tapings. They have done tapings through May. They have sent their talent home to rest and be safe until it is time to record again. Now, mind you, AEW needs a little kick in the ass too, because they're still going through a double or nothing.
Yeah.
They deserve a kick in the nuts too right now.
They absolutely do. I'm not real happy with them. It's very strange that the one company that I'm the most happy with right now is Ring of Honor. I'm not sure how to feel about that.
I just...
Well, we had like, can I like point out a conversation that happened
Yes.
on your Facebook, because it's a couple of our friends that I thought this raised a really, really valid question. And it's also a great opportunity to promote their individual products. So,
Yes.
James Hatton, who we've had on the podcast before, who's of the Something Something cast, part of the IJOV network, folks. James had asked we were having just a standard social media conversation about this shit yesterday. And Jamie asked, let me ask respectfully, why is this hitting Drake so hard? Because Drake Maverick had posted a really heavy response video. Not to say it doesn't suck to lose your gig, but do we know why he seems to think he'll never wrestle again or have the opportunity? James Wheeler from Heel Turn Radio, who's a local podcast network that does tremendous work. I play D&D with some of their wonderful folks on D&D DT. Usually every Monday night. We're on hiatus right now because of the pandemic. Because it's just not safe for us to all congregate, and we're supposed to be socially distancing, and it doesn't work on Twitch when we're all in different houses. It just doesn't pan out.
Yeah.
James the Beard Wheeler had said, if you're a full-time wrestler who's an independent contractor, where are you going for income right now? I'm guessing like a lot of folks in the WWE or anywhere else, if you're an independent contractor, you don't have any sort of severance, but you do have a non-compete clause. So if you can't wrestle and people aren't hiring and you've already had a shot, he may not get another one in the WWE. If that's your dream and you've just been announced to be able to really wrestle again, I'd imagine the reality of that situation's hitting him hard. And that raises a really great point. And like, this was a super respectful conversation between the two of them. I also want to like kudos to the point where like James had even posted on his Facebook, kind of in depth, like discussing it a little bit more. So I heavily recommend follow Heel Turn Radio, follow the Something Something cast. Don't be afraid to like broach the subject with people who are intelligent, not rage monsters like us. I mean, we'll still talk about it, but like we don't fucking hold back on like some folks in the industry who just, are good people and just want to have conversations about stuff. I just thought like that raised a really valid question, because like the WWE is notorious for their fucking non-compete clauses. I mean, not that anybody's working right now anyway.
So, I mean, but you have to look at this though too. This is a direct result of WWE gathering up talent to try and keep them away from competition.
Oh, totally. 100%.
Having more talent than they could possibly use.
Panic hiring. I mean, I hesitate to call it panic hiring, but that's kind of what it's been.
This is a result of the fact that the network is bleeding subscribers.
Well, and they have been for some time, which is something I was trying to explain to some of our casual buddies in Orlando, like Carrie, who has no fucking interest in wrestling whatsoever. Mm-hmm. And like her comment was, well, after seeing all this incredibly heinous shit that Vince has been pulling and that Linda's been pulling and the WWE's involvement, like, I gotta tell you, in Orlando, a lot of people that live there, like, Vince McMahon is not very liked right now. And her comment was, well, I really hope that like supporters of the product see this kind of thing and walk away from it. And it broke my heart that my answer was like, they won't give a shit. But I was like, I'll be honest with you, like, this kind of shit has been going on for years. Like, this is the kind of thing that, like, some of us have chosen to walk away from supporting the company with our dollar because of this kind of thing, because we've literally seen this happening over and over and over and over again. Like, none of this surprises me. Is that terrible?
No.
To say that none of it surprises me? Because I'm like, I was trying to explain, like, the average Joe Schmo doesn't understand that, like, the WWE has a partnership with the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia and why people find it problematic. Like, the average Joe Schmo doesn't understand why Vince and Linda are trying to pull the shit that they're pulling. But when you explain it to average Joe Schmoes, even in a non-biased way, like, boy, do they have opinions. It's a tough subject. It's a really sensitive subject right now.
So then there's also the fact that Donald Trump has created the Great American Economic Revival Industry Group.
Ugh. Which also does sound like kind of a dope wrestling stable name.
This is a group of folks who are supposed to help us get our economy back rolling.
'Cause he's been so good at that.
Let me give you some names. Adam Silver of the NBA. Rob Manfred, Commissioner of MLB. Roger Goodell, the Commissioner of the NFL. Gary Bettman, the Commissioner of the NHL. Jerry Jones, the owner of the Dallas Cowboys. Mark Cuban, the owner of the Dallas Mavericks. Vince McMahon, owner of the WWE.
Barf.
Dana White, owner of UFC.
Barf.
Don Garber of Major League Soccer. Yeah, so it's a bunch of sports owners and sports commissioners are supposed to lead this commission to help us get our economy back rolling.
This is also...
Millionaires and billionaires.
This is also where, I'm just going to point this out, this is where we're going to see a massive fucking divide between more of the state and government level, not to get super fucking political here, but we're already seeing this happening. And, like, I don't know if you followed the news, and if you don't, I completely understand why, because it's just, every day, it's like you wake up in Fallout, and it's like, what fucking terrible news is happening today? But a lot of state governments are making the choices. They're examining whether they should cancel sporting events and concerts for the entirety of 2020 and not allow anything until 2021. Like, that's a conversation that's happening in New York, and it's a conversation that's happening in Los Angeles. That's a big fucking thing. Yeah. Like, imagine New York City, which I'm following that news very closely.
Yes.
Like, imagine New York City, like, WWE and wrestling is so synonymous with NYC. Mm-hmm. Like, between MSG, the Hammerstein Ballroom. Like, I mean, Evolution was in New York. Yep. Like, New York is a very wrestling-forward state. And, like, thinking about the fact that, like, states and cities are taking it upon themselves to say, no, we're not going to allow this because it is what is best for safety, for social distancing perspectives. And then to put the people that are in charge of all the sporting events that are not going to happen in charge of, like, boosting our fucking economy. How does that... Like, I'm sorry, Shannon.exe has stopped working. How the fuck does that work? It just makes no sense to me. It's like, what are you going to do? You're going to put them in a position where, like, they're going to be able to try and, like, force these cities to reopen things on some levels. I understand that like, the socioeconomic detriment here is massive. Our economy is kind of fucked right now.
It is.
And I don't know if or when we're going to come out of it. This is, like, one of those, like, it's bad. It's really fucking bad.
It is
it's
bad.
Fucking terrible. And it sucks. And everything about it fucking sucks. And I'm sorry. But, like, I just see, like, I see a bigger fight happening here with putting these particular people in charge. Because these are the people that are going to say, no, our seasons have to go on because, like, we're what's best for the, you know. It's going to be very, like, centric on their organizations. Also, like, I'm sorry, billionaires don't really have a really great fucking perspective on what's happening to, like, the middle class and the lower class.
They absolutely don't.
So sorry. Not sorry. I have opinions on this. It's ridiculous. It just makes no fucking sense to me. It makes no sense to me. Do you think, like, Ruth Bader Ginsburg just wakes up every fucking day right now and just tries not to have a fucking aneurysm? Like, RBG just wakes up and she's like, God fucking damn it.
I don't know.
The notorious RBG.
I get it. Wrestling is an escape.
It's escapism. It's escapism. Absolutely.
But it is still fictional entertainment.
Did you just have, like a fucking...
Fictional
characters!
Yes. It is fiction.
Yes.
It is not essential for us to have. There is enough content on the WWE network that the WWE could not have a show for a year and still be able to fulfill their contractual obligations with USA and Fox Sports.
Yeah, completely.
There is plenty they could air to keep viewers watching.
And here's the thing. And I'm about to get a little ethical on everybody. And I would say I'm sorry, but I'm really not. Like, every single one of us is... I don't know a single person that's not making tremendous sacrifices right now. This is a really difficult time for everybody. It is... We've struggled. We've had our issues. you know, there's stuff that we've been planning for years that may have to go the way of the dodo this year. Mm-hmm. And it breaks my fucking heart to think about, like, literally heartbroken about it. But at the end of the day, and it's okay to, like, feel your feels about it, but at the end of the day, human lives are more fucking important. I'm sorry, they just are. Like, human lives are more important than nice to haves. And to me, right now, wrestling is a nice to have for the general public. I understand that for performers, it's a very different story. And I'm friends with performers in a variety of mediums. I'm friends with people that work in burlesque. I'm friends with people that work in belly dance. I'm friends with people that work in the cabaret circuit. Comedians and singers and vocalists.
And wrestlers.
And wrestlers. Like, to me, everybody kind of falls in that same umbrella. Like, you're all under that same umbrella to me. I've never been in a situation where I've been more grateful that my father was like, yo, Shannon, everything you're good at is creative. You need a fallback. Because I wouldn't have my day job scenario if it wasn't for that guidance. But I know a lot of people that don't have that. And I love wrestling. And yes, wrestling is an escape. It's an escape just like turning on any episodic show that you're into. It's just like watching The Mandalorian or Game of Thrones or anything that you gravitate to. But it's not an essential business. Essential right now are the medical workers that are out there at ground zero fucking taking hits every single day and literally risking their lives to make sure people get through this. It's the janitorial and custodial staff.
Grocery store clerks.
Yeah. People working fucking bodegas in the corners in New York. Like, their essential staff is not professional wrestling right now. And I don't know a lot of professional wrestlers that would say that it is. I know a lot that would say that it's not. And the fact that, like, that's the fucking stance that's trying to be utilized, it's asinine to me. It's asinine. I'm sorry. And I'm sure there's some people out there that are going to vehemently disagree with us on this, but...
So I just feel like this past week, Vince McMahon has shown his true colors as a villain.
Mm-hmm. If you've ever doubted that Vincent Kennedy McMahon is a fucking supervillain and does not deserve praise at this phase in his life, I got nothing for you, man.
I am appreciative of what Vince McMahon has done for the wrestling industry.
Oh, yeah, his legacy is fucking integral. So, like, we wouldn't have professional wrestling as it is without Vincent Kennedy McMahon. I acknowledge that.
But what he's done this past 7 days is deplorable.
Yeah. Terrible human.
He could have cut other expenses to save his workers.
It is bad enough, and I'm going to give a shout out to them, it is bad enough that the wonderful folks at Daily DDT have made a public statement about the fact that while they have always primarily been an organization that does op-ed pieces on a ton of WWE stuff, even they are done with this shit. They're like, we will continue to cover the WWE as we have to for news purposes, but they are going to double down and start putting more emphasis on covering op-ed pieces around AEW and Ring of Honor and the independent circuit and New Japan Pro Wrestling, and finally turning their attention more to other organizations. And I fucking applaud them for this effort. That's huge, you guys.
But now we have to talk about the dark side of all this.
Oh, there's...
Yeah, well,
It gets worse?
Yeah, it does. Because what do we, as the consuming public, do about this?
That's a good question. Well, I mean, that's easy for you and I to answer, but it's not easy for...
But it's not, because not supporting the WWE means more firings. Not supporting the WWE means more people let go harshly like this.
For some of us, that's a decision that we made ages ago. It sucks, because... there are people that are in that company that I love to support. The very last piece of WWE merchandise I bought was a Shayna Baszler shirt. Mm-hmm. Because I really wanted to support her. And we've always been very big about, like, supporting people with our money when we can. And that's only because we are privileged enough to be able to do so. I recognize that for a lot of fans, that's not even a factor. I just want to acknowledge that. Not everybody is fortunate enough, especially right now, to be able to fight with your dollar.
Yeah.
And speak with your dollar. We've been very lucky that we've been able to do this. But there's always that warring piece with you and I where we've had these conversations where it's like, we don't want to support the WWE directly, so we try to find ethical ways to support other individuals and businesses instead of directly giving the WWE our dollar. But in doing so, yeah, it sucks because it's like we probably are one of the contributing factors to some of these layoffs. And I fully recognize that and acknowledge it. And yeah, it fucking blows.
It does.
It's just, it's this fucking... this awful circle of life. It just never stops.
But Vince McMahon only knows one language, and that's money.
Yeah. I mean, that is the money that's the language he speaks. He speaks money.
And it's a shame that in order for Vince McMahon to learn a lesson, other people are going to get hurt.
That is the heartbreaking reality.
Let's finish this compliment sandwich. And then we have one sad piece of news, and then we'll have to call this an episode.
Well, do we want to do the sad news first?
Yeah, let's do the sad news first.
Let's do the sad news first.
Because it has been announced that Howard Finkel has passed away.
Yeah, this one really hurt.
Howard Finkel was the ring voice.
Yeah.
Everybody knew in WWE.
Mm-hmm.
The Fink was amazing.
Yeah, this one was really rough. I've been literally blown up with messages all day long and people just going like, "Oh my God, did you hear about this?" Yeah, I don't have a lot to say. It's fucking heartbreaking. This one just sucks.
Oh, I did have one more thing I actually wanted to say about everything that's going on right now.
Okay.
And it's something that I actually read on my Facebook. Because there's still a lot of debate on whether or not what we're doing is the right thing. The social distancing, the closing of businesses, the furloughing.
Yeah.
And, this actually kind of struck me kind of hard. The populace is not going to come together until somebody important passes away from this.
That's a big conversation.
It is.
That's a very big conversation to have.
Somebody beloved by everybody dying of the coronavirus. There have been some fairly large names that have passed away. Fountains of Wayne, one of the founders of Fountains of Wayne.
Oh, yeah, passed away.
Bassist passed away from it. And we've had well-known names who have contracted it, like Tom Hanks and Idris Elba. But we haven't really had that big name that's passed away from it. Is that what's going to take for wrestling? A big name in wrestling to pass away?
God, I hope not.
I don't want anybody to die from this.
Absolutely not.
That's why we are staying home all the time. It's why we are being so precautionary. We don't want anybody to die.
I mean, like, guys, just put this into perspective. Like, Richard and I have literally been planning a trip to Disney for 3 years.
We were supposed to go in November, late November.
And we are serious. God, I can't even talk about it because it makes me so fucking sad. Like, we are seriously debating canceling the trip, if only because, like, it is a big scenario. And I don't personally have a lot of faith that this is going to be under control. I think, like, we're going to see massive societal differences. And, like, at the end of the day, it's like, fine, it's a vacation. I can always reschedule the fucking vacation.
Exactly.
That's why I bought insurance. I can cancel it. It's fine. It's not a big deal. But, like, it's heartbreaking. But at the same time, like, we're going to see a lot of societal changes from this. I think wearing masks is going to become very commonplace here. That's a cultural shift that happens in a lot of other countries.
Asian countries like Japan and China,
Korea. It's very commonplace.
It's very common to see people wearing masks.
In Japan, actually, if you are sick, it is considered, like, it is seen in some instances as rude if you are not wearing a mask. Like, if you're sick and you get on the subway or you show up on a Shinkansen or you show up at work and you don't have a mask, like, that's frowned upon. Very much so. And, like, we've gone out of our way. Like, we purchased some masks that we're trying to support local businesses and independent businesses where we can.
Shout out to Bar Luchador.
Seriously, like, we miss you guys. Our hearts fucking hurt for you, bro. We hope you're okay. But, like, we purchased some masks from a friend of ours who, by the way, if you want to, I'm just going to give her a shout out. She runs a great company called Scoundrels Keep. SCOUNDRELLE. And you can literally order masks in a couple of different designs from her. And some of them even have pockets for filters. They're great for medical workers. They're great for just the general public. Please go to her website if you're interested in getting some masks. It was, what, 3 for
$25.
$25, which is pretty great. And you're supporting an independent female-owned company. And, like, I ordered Harry Potter ones. I wanted some Hufflepuff shit. You wanted a Slytherin one. So we got some Slitherpuff goodness in the mail this week. It was delightful.
Yep.
You know, check that out and see what she can do. But, like, yeah, we're going to see a lot of changes. There are things that are going to change, and every single person is going to have to make some pretty significant sacrifices. Like, shit's going to be different for a while. Shit's going to be different for a very long while.
Yep.
And that's something we're just all going to have to get used to.
So now the good part.
I have a couple of pieces of good news.
Okay, let's go with the good news.
First and foremost, Roman Reigns and his wife are pregnant again with twins.
Again.
So congrats to Roman and his wife. Top guy. Like, ooh, doing some good work there.
Seriously, Roman Reigns' testicle Superman punch.
Superman. Jesus Christ, Richard. Another piece of really good news in wrestling right now is that I have to give some shout out to Ring of Honor. There will be no sad Titanic music today.
No.
Ring of Honor, for all the bullshit that we call them out on, they're actually paying non-contracted talents right now their agreed rate for events that have been canceled, and they have not cut a single person on their roster or staff. What was really interesting is... Katrina's Infamy on Twitter tweeted yesterday, on a related note, I would like to express gratitude for having just received a check for a show that is not taking place from a company I don't have a contract with, but was looking forward to finally working with, namely Ring of Honor, with a thoughtful and classy move. That's really surprising and super dope. So you know what? No shade thrown at ROH this day. No boat sinking in the middle of the fucking ocean. No Nearer My God to Thee being played on the bow. Everything is good. So kudos and shout out to you, Ring of Honor, for doing right by people. I think that's great.
So I think we've ranted enough. We finished that compliment sandwich.
I was going to say I finished my drink.
I finished my drink too. I got a little buzz going right now.
I kind of do too. I need to go make some pescetti.
Yeah.
I'm very hungry.
So I think we're going to wrap this one up here.
We are. Everybody, do yourselves a favor. Be extra safe. Be extra cautious. Practice social distancing.
Yes.
Please be careful out there. And remember that you are supported. Your feelings are valid. It's okay to feel sad. It's okay to feel anxious. But it's also okay to still connect with people as long as you're doing it from a social distancing perspective.
And you're safe.
And you're safe.
So until then, I'm Richard Townsend.
I'm Shannon Townsend.
We will speak to you in 2 weeks.
Make good choices.